Hello, fellow humans. I hope you're having a great day. I had a really long, awful day, and so I thought I'd come home and talk about something that makes me happy, which, if you've ever met me, you know is rope. It's kind of a funny thing to explain to people who aren't into it, but I started tying about going on two and a half-ish years now. To be honest, I don't really remember life before I was into rope at this point anymore because it's such a big part of my life. I do remember how I got interested in rope though. I was at a local munch, which if you're not familiar with the term, it's where members of the BDSM community gather in a vanilla, aka like a restaurant, like a vanilla location, and just kind of like meet up. And it's how you get to know people in your local community, get acquainted, network, all that kind of stuff. It's a really easy way to get started and meet people with similar interests. So anyway, I went to this munch, and while I was there, they were saying something about, oh yeah, no one's really here today because everyone's out at the rope group. And I was like, the what? And so naturally, I had to go the following month. And it was actually funny because what ended up happening was I knew it was one of those things that you really need someone to work with, unless you just want to sit there and play with yourself, which can be done. I still do it to this day, but that's a different thing. I posted on my Facebook asking if anybody wanted to go to this rope group with me, and one of my friends from high school hit me up, and we ended up having a blast. It was great. The moment that we started playing with the ropes, I was just like happy, giggly mess, and it was just super fun. I just really enjoyed the sensation of having rope put on me. I loved it. My first ropes actually slept in my bed with me for months after I bought them. But anyway, that's how I got started with rope. I just heard about it, went to a group, tried it, loved it, and decided I wanted to make it a big part of my life. And it took me a while to get any good at it, don't get me wrong. When I first started, I was mostly just learning from some books that I bought and some tutorials that I found online. And there's really only so much you can learn from those sorts of things. You really need that like hands-on experience, like one-on-one lessons to get to understand the intricacies of a lot of things that have to do with rope. And there's so many different ways to do rope, and that's why I keep saying rope, because there's shibari, kinbaku, which is a very Japanese take on it, versus what we tend to do here in America, the Western world. It's not always shibari, it's just kind of rope play, and it's not an argument I really care to get into. Honestly, whatever makes you happy, you do you. But it's just something that I feel really passionate about, and that's why anybody who knows me, I get sent links to things all the time, like, oh, hey, Shell, I saw this thing that had to do with rope, and so I thought of you. It can be, like, completely non-related to kink or BDSM, just, like, boats and stuff. But there's rope, so Michelle! Which is great. I don't mind at all. I've said that I posted it on my Facebook page because when I say that I'm open, I am open. Like, everybody knows. I've talked about it at work because I go to conventions. I even did a performance once with my best friend. And yeah, it's both a lifestyle, a hobby, and a passion, and a skill. Something I still work on and try hard at, and something I'm still learning every time I do it. It feels like for example, I went to Bound in Boston this year, a few months ago, and every time I go, which unfortunately that was the last Bound in Boston, they're gonna be doing something else, but whatever. But the last 2 years I've gone, I show up and I'm just like, oh yeah, I have a pretty decent idea of what I'm doing. And then I walk out like, wow, I didn't know anything. I feel empowered. There's so much more I could do now. And even the second time around, having had another whole year of rope practice, I still came back and learned things that I just wouldn't have thought of on my own. For example, just turning a rope a certain way can make such a big difference in a rope suspension. And it's one of those things that, like, it's not a necessity, it just makes a big difference. And those are the things that in the moment you don't always think of until you see somebody else do it. And then you're like, huh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna steal that. And that's what I love, is the sharing of ideas and collaborating, learning from each other. And I wish that people were more open about these sorts of things. It's really hard to go somewhere like here, like on YouTube, and just if you search rope, you're not going to find anybody really just talking about it. You're going to see some, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I'm one of the few people that's so candid and will just talk about it without having to make it into a big thing, you know? It doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, if I just want to sit here and, like, tie this rope around my leg and watch TV, I'll do that. I have done that. I was bored one day, I remember I tied myself in a couple of futomomos and just sat on the floor and read a book, because it's very comforting to me to have that restraint, that feeling of, it's like, rope is a lot like hugs, and hugs can hurt sometimes, and that's also great. But anyway, I think some other time I'll go into a big rant about what kind of rope I use. Maybe I'll show you a couple of things. I will eventually film some self-suspensions, because that's something I'm interested in showing on here. But for now, I just wanted to have a little opening chit-chat about rope and what it means to me. What does it mean to you? Is it something you're interested in? Something maybe you've even never heard of? Leave me some comments below and let me know what you think when you hear the word shibari.